my analogy is that if my ticket is to bake a cake, and let's say it's, chocolate cake, we got some buttercream frosting, little raspberry layer in there, it's a nice cake, that if I go and bake the cake and come back, and Angelica, you're a frosting expert, and Jeff, you're a cake expert, and Natasha, you're the absolute queen of fillings. It's harder. I have to get all of you in a room and cut a slice of cake, and like you have to pick it apart and like be an expert on your piece, and it takes more work to give feedback, and it takes more work for me to go fix something. So if I'm trying to perfect the chocolate cake and Jeff, you're like, this cake is too dry, like you have to go back and make it, make it less dry. That is so much more work for me to reconstruct that cake all over again. But if I break that down and first I make my chocolate sponge, Jeff, you taste that, you give me feedback on it. I make my filling that I'm going to use. Natasha, I get your input on that. Angelica, I ask you for your input on the frosting and kind of perfect those individual pieces. And then I assemble that final assembled cake is going to be a lot more successful. So I like to think about it as like breaking it down so that I ideally one person could review it, and maybe like one subject matter expert could review that part. And then when we get to the assembly piece, you're judging me on the assembly. You already know that the individual components are, we're all on the same page about what those components are. So I think it's a hard thing to measure, because even just that, like, oh, one subject matter expert is not like a hard and fast rule. There's a lot. This is one of the things I think is something that comes more with experience and intuition. It's like a skill that you're able to hone as you gain more experience around like what the right size to ask for feedback on is. But that's my analogy, is that if you're baking a cake and you're asking for a review on it, it's easier to get the individual components reviewed first and then make your cake or assemble your cake.